Latest football news, engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome to Pitchside Talk, back on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George. As always, I hope you've all had a good week. I hope you had a good football week as well, apart from you're an Ipswich Town fan, but we'll get onto that a little bit later on. Well, who am I joined by this week? Well, I'm joined by our resident Ipswich Town fan. He's told me he's not going to be angry, but he's just laughing, really. I think it is sort of been a weird week for Ipswich Town fans, but it is Dan as always. Dan, how are you doing, mate?
I'm not doing too badly. It's been an eventful week, hasn't it? Football-wise. It's just been a joke of a week, really, for being an Ipswich fan. I guess we'll get into it in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get onto it a little bit later on. But what have we got coming up in today's show? Well, we've got Ipswich Town. We're talking about those. Not a double bill, even though we had two games, but not a double bill. Yes, we'll get onto that a little bit later on. The Premier League, we've had an eventful week in the Premier League, and the Champions League returned. Yes, it returned for the start of the knockout rounds. And we're going to do a nice little roundup for you. But before we move on and talk about this town, the social media is Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube and Mixcloud both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows or see any of our content, yes, we do match previews, and I've started uploading them onto that so you can see them. You can see early access of them before they go up on Twitter. But we better move on to this. So when we come back, we're going to talk about Ipswich Town and a very eventful week for the club.
Stay up to date with the latest footy news.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan, as always. And now, before we move on with the show and talk about Ipswich Town, better mention the social medias. Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube and Mixcloud both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows or see any additional content, yes, we do match previews, and I've started uploading them on there. You can see them early access before they go up onto Twitter. You better subscribe on that and you can see them on there. Now, Dan, I think this is the painfulest part really of the show, I think I can say, for you, for me as well, because it was painful writing this up. But Ipswich Town, this week has been quite an eventful week in the club, but we better go back to Saturday. And they were back in action, playing two games once again. But this Saturday, the game against Shrewsbury was postponed 45 minutes before kickoff because of a frozen pitch, it was described. Well, it was frozen in parts, I think we could say, of the pitch. But on what we saw, the pictures and that, it looked all right, really, some bits and that. But people saying that you can't play on that, which a pitch that looks fine, but you can play on Peterborough's pitch. So, interesting. But that game has now not gone ahead. And it was supposed to go ahead Sunday. It didn't go ahead in the end. So now it's going to go ahead possibly in March. But on Tuesday, Ipswich were back in action for the game that was supposed to be played on Boxing Day. Yes, Ipswich Town are making up games that they couldn't play because of the COVID-19 situation back in late December. And, well, they're playing Northampton Town. And that ended in a 0-0. Dan, not good enough by Ipswich Town here. Very much disjointed, lacklustre, lifeless from Town. No disrespect to Northampton Town, who currently sit 23rd in League One. But this game here was a winnable game for Ipswich Town. And I didn't watch the game, but for the people that did, it was a sad sight to watch, really.
It was really sad. You know, I've seen loads and loads of rubbish games as an Ipswich fan. There's been so many games that I can think of that have been really bad. But when I think about it, that has to be the single worst performance I've seen as an Ipswich fan. It was awful. I was sad watching it. You know, it was. You know, I saw the 5-1 thrashing against Norwich. I was there. I saw us, set up for a 0-0 draw against Burton in the Championship under Mick. I saw us losing 3-0 against Derby in the pouring rain on a Tuesday night in the freezing cold. But that still has to be the worst I've seen us play. No fight, no passion, no quality. And the thing that frustrates me the most is that we put in an absolute disgrace of a performance like that, and everyone just seems to ignore it, don't they?
Mm.
You know, we go to the next day, Lambert's on the national radio speaking like nothing's happened. It's just a joke. You know, there's so many excuses at this club of the situation we are. You know, it's excuse after excuse from manager, from owner. You know, the excuses are we got so many injuries, we got games in hand, stuff like that. You know, the excuses are running out now. You know, everyone is fit now, pretty much. You know, it's only really Vincent Young that's still out injured, isn't it? I can't really think of anyone major that's out.
James Wilson's still out, but I think he's come back into training recently, I've heard.
Yeah, so James Wilson as well. But yeah, everyone's pretty much back from injury. The team that sits sixth, which is Accrington Stanley, we've played the same amount of games as them now. So the games in hand excuse, you can't really say that anymore. You know, we're running out of excuses to justify the fact that, you know, does Marcus Evans think that where we are as a club is acceptable? Because I think he does. I think he's just sitting back and ignoring the problems. It's just ridiculous. I've never known an owner to be like this. It's just ridiculous. The fact that he sits back and ignores everything. It's baffling to me, the fact that he's managed to get this club where they are. Yeah, but I said on Twitter, the manager, the owners, I hate to, you know, I want to support the players, but even the players as well should be absolutely disgusted with themselves. You know, in this game, you know, no disrespect to Northampton. They came here with a game plan. They looked the better of the two sides. You know, you could see that they were down the bottom, but they looked better, especially in the first half. But, you know, it's just heartbreaking to watch, knowing that absolutely nothing is going to change at this club. And at this rate, I'm not renewing my season ticket next year. I think Marcus Evans is going to have a rude awakening, really, by the fact that no one's going to buy season tickets. It's going to be really interesting to see how many are sold. And also, it's going to be interesting to see if he does make a change before the renewal to see how many people are going to buy the tickets, because it's going to be very low either way, I reckon.
Yeah, sort of. That's quite a bold statement, really, because I think we have sort of said, a lot of fans on Twitter have sort of said about not renewing their season tickets, and some people saying that it'd be lucky if Marcus Evans can get 5,000 season tickets sold for next season. But moving back into the game, and a very big moment that happened in the game, which wasn't actually a goal or a penalty or anything, was the referee, Darren Drysdale. He clashed with Alan Judge. Yes, he moved his head towards Alan Judge, briefly locking heads. Since then, the referee has apologised for his actions, but now has been charged with improper conduct by the FA. But Dan, that's such a crazy moment, because the commentary didn't pick it up. I think I've watched the commentary. They don't really pick it up. It's sort of just like an altercation. Really, they just nothing happens from that. But it was picked up on Twitter, and it absolutely blew up.
It did, yeah. And I did notice it at the time. I was like, what the hell's the ref doing? He's just squared up to Alan Judge. I've never seen anything like that before. You know, that goes back to I can never remember that Italian ref's name, but you know who I mean, like the legend ref. Yeah. But
scary
yeah,
ref,
it goes.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I was kind of on the fence with this. You know, I was seeing players coming out and backing the ref. I'm not really sure about that. You know, refs. It's probably wrong that they get abuse from players, isn't it? You know, you know, they're not treated well, but I think it's part of the job, is it not? You know, you're a football ref, really, at the end of the day, aren't you? Like, it's going to happen from fans and players. You know, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that, but it comes with it, I think. You know, he's got to keep his cool in that moment, I think. But, you know, as I said, I'm kind of on the fence with it, because I understand why people are backing the ref, you know, the abuse they get from the players. But then I think the ref should really keep his cool in that situation. You know, football, emotions run high amongst players, don't they? Judge thought it was a penalty, which Well, I don't think it was. It clearly wasn't a penalty. I don't know. I saw Ipswich fans saying it was, which I was quite surprised about. But it's a difficult one. People may disagree with me, but that's how I see it. And I understand that refs get abuse, but then they need to take that, I think.
Well, it's interesting on Twitter that Alan Judge has actually came out and he's actually backed the referee because he sort of didn't see any more action need to happen. He said it happened on the football pitch. You leave it on the football pitch, which is, I think, it's the right attitude.
Yeah.
Really, because a lot of players, they don't do that and they take it on social media and all this. But he was very much backing the ref. But that moment, that's just so crazy. And we know about the problem with referees and Ipswich Town have had in the past in League One. I think we can remember last season with Wickham as a sort of controversial
don't remind
moment.
me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't remember his name now. That's how bad it is. I remember his name, but
Alan Young.
Alan Young. Oh, I don't know actually I'm Tim, but that was another moment as well. But just it's just such a crazy moment. But we have to talk about the game again because we have to do it, but it's so painful to do it. But first time playing Northampton Town since 1967. They have no manager at the time being. They haven't won in their last 7 games. They haven't won at all this year. And we're nearly, we halfway through February at this time? We're on the 19th today.
Yep.
Ipswich struggling to beat them. Only registering 1 shot in the 79th minute. Another red card. I think you said it's now 3 red cards in the last 4 games, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it is.
11 sending off under Paul Lambert in his 110 games. But there's just no excuse here. But everything seems to be really much a joke at the moment at the club.
Yeah, it is. There's absolutely no excuse for any of it. I don't want to be disrespectful to Northampton because I thought they played well. But at the end of the day, it's a club who are, looking like they're going to get relegated. They lost a Burn at the weekend, hadn't scored, I can't even remember, is it 7 games?
I can look it up for you.
Yeah, it's just totally unacceptable. And yeah, another red card. What is the discipline at the moment? It is awful. But it annoys me that you see mostly Stuart Taylor all game. He's just shouting at the 4th official, just over and over again. Surely that is rubbing off on the players. It seems to me like it is. There's no confidence. The players can't keep their head, and that comes down to the manager and his team, I think. And it's a joke. It really is. It's performance, as I said before, it's an embarrassment. I think about all the people who have invested in this club. The fans who've spent endless amounts of money in the past. Season tickets every year, and they have to sit there and watch that and justify spending that amount of money every single year. I don't know if the club really thinks about that, and they're just going to do the season ticket renewals like nothing's happened. But it's an insult to the fans the way the club is at the moment, and the fact that Evans is just ignoring it and not even coming out and explaining why sticking with Lambert and why the club is as it is. He's just hiding away. And why is he hiding away? I've never known. As an owner of this football club, you need to be out in the open and telling us what's going on. How can he look at that performance and look where we are in the league and look at the state of the club and think that, how can he just watch our club, rot towards League 2 without even coming out and explaining to the fans why it's not working? I'm fed up with him. And, this is an all-time low at this club. And the fact is, we can see it getting lower. It's an all-time low that I can see getting lower. And that is, it's unacceptable. And I'm starting to get bored watching Ipswich every single week. Watching the same things. Nothing happens in every single game I watch. It's boring. I'd rather be doing something else. People are saying that on Twitter. They switch off and do other things. 78 minutes it took to have a shot on target. It's Northampton. They're not They're not bloody Man City. Surely you can get a shot on target against Northampton. But the thing is, when Norwood went through, I'll actually admit this, I didn't want him to score because if we win that game, then it's all positive again, isn't it? And, Lambert's job is safe, even though I think it is safe anyway. But that's how bad it is. We as fans want our team to lose. So that fraud of a manager and his team is out of here. I'm so angry at how our club is. You can probably tell how angry I am and how our club is turning out. It's a mess, an absolute mess, and I'm fed up with it.
I can feel your pain, mate. I can feel your pain because I perfectly honest, I haven't spent money on Ipswich Town probably since the Shrewsbury game back in November. I saw it coming along well. So, as you said, the Northampton haven't scored in the last 6 games. I predicted the future. Really, I just say that a relegation scrap is on the cards, and it looks like it could be at the moment. But as you said this week, as you said, it has been an all-time low for this club this week. Firstly, the protest that happened on Monday at the training ground whilst the first team was training, done by Blue Action. I think there was a fire set off or flares, and there was all the smoke and all sorts, and they were singing "We Want Lambert Out," which sort of the fan base was backing on Twitter. Then it slightly divided them a little bit, and it all went a bit disarray. As you know, it's just town Twitter. It can 1 minute be very positive, and then the next be absolutely against it and negative. And then former Ipswich Town player Darren Bent called out the club on national radio and Twitter as well, urging for change to happen. He said, these are the friendliest bunch of fans ever, and they're having to do this to get their voice across, and change is needed.
Yeah.
If they're doing this, something is completely wrong. And then we had Tuesday's game, the performance leaving fans really just sad. The media just constantly joking about Ipswich Town. Brennan McMills on the sort of iFollow coverage and the local coverage over here, absolutely just taking the mickey out of Ipswich Town. Really, it was kind of
I know
it was sad.
That's how it's getting, isn't it? You know, it's that's how it's getting. Our club's a joke.
It was sort of sad to watch, but at the same time, it was kind of funny to listen to. And then we had Lambert appearing on national radio talking about the protest and saying it was done by not real Ipswich Town fans. Blue Action is one of the biggest, I think we can say, supporters sort of club really that is involved with Ipswich Town. I think we can say. And he called them not real fans.
Yeah.
That's not a way to win your fan base, Paul Lambert. And then Simon Jordan then ripping into Paul Lambert live on air as well. But Dan, this club in less than a week has seen a loyal fan base been torn apart, detached from the club, feel like they don't really belong to it. Nobody seems to really care about the club, from the manager to the owner to the players. And it's sad to see because this club is slipping deeper and deeper into disarray because promotions is not happening this season. I think currently at the moment they're 5 points off 6th place, but automatics are 12 points. It's not happening. It's more likely at this current moment in time, a likely relegation scrap's going to happen because this year alone, they've only earned 8 points. That puts them 17th in the calendar table. And from the last 10 games, they've got 8 points and they sit 18th. Now, that is not promotion form. That's more relegation form than anything. But change is needed urgently. But it doesn't look like that's ever going to happen at the moment because if Marcus Evans doesn't care, and he wasn't at the game on Tuesday, very ironically, nothing's going to happen. And it's just going to be the same. And it's more likely could be in League Two by the end of the season more than Championship.
You're right. And the fact is, the more time we let Lambert, do his thing at this club, the more time we'll lose points over and over again. We'll get dragged into the bottom of the league. There's still so many games to play, isn't there? Cool. We've got so many midweek games to play that we haven't played this season. We could be drawn into it. It's not impossible, is it? And that is so depressing because we can't see where we're going to get points from. Going back to the Blue Action thing, got no problem with that at all. I think it's great that they're, going out there fans can't really do anything. It does annoy me that the club and them, not so much the club, but the media have twisted it a little bit. They're trying to. I don't know if it's the club telling them the story, but it seems to me that they're trying to, make the fans the bad guys. All we want to do is put our point across, but it seems like the media have twisted the story to put us in the wrong. It's all like Ipswich fans caused the fire. They're throwing flares at players, things like that. It's over exaggerating, isn't it? All we're doing is trying to put our point across why our club is in such disarray at the moment. And, I said to you before we went on air, when Mick McCarthy left, the fans were blamed. Everyone outside the club blamed the fans. And I think even though it's been 3 years, that is still around, isn't it? Ipswich fans are the bad guys, and it's Ipswich fans' fault that we're in this position. That's what people say outside this club.
Yeah. You have to remember that Marcus Evans actually did sort of suggest that the fans were at the wrong, really, when he released that statement. And he said, you don't get what you deserve, or whatever the comment was, and then he had to backtrack it. So he's sort of blaming the fans for that as well.
Yeah. How is it the fans' fault where we are? And then Lambert went on Talk Sport saying they're not fans. Does the club and everyone at it forget that we clapped them to relegation? We've all seen that video. The day we got relegated, Birmingham at home, the atmosphere was amazing. We'd just got relegated. Do they forget that we had 20,000 fans pretty much every week last season? A failure of a season. Paul Lambert, don't you dare question our support, because we are the loyalist fans. We are so loyal, and we're hurting. All we want is, Lambert and, his management team out so we can change. We can, we just want change. That's all we want. We don't. The thing is, I think people have got it into their heads that Ipswich fans seem to want, Champions League football. We want to be winning the Premier League every single season. We don't want that much success. We just want a team that can compete in at least the Championship. We've been in the Championship. We're in the Championship for so long. To me, we're a stable Championship club, even though we're not there at the moment. But that's all we want. That's all we want as a football club. And for Paul Lambert to say that, it's so frustrating, and we're hurting that. The connection that, the club had to the fans once is completely gone. When I first started going to watch Ipswich play, even in the playoff season, that the club had to the fans was second to none. But, the way the club has treated us fans is completely unacceptable. And it's so sad to watch it. And it's good that Darren Bent and others have started talking about it. To that extent, it's grabbed the media. Talk Sport yesterday, Jim White may have, been sucking up to Lambert a little bit, but the other guy, can't remember his name right now, Simon Jordan. That's it. He kind of went into that interview a little bit, which is good to see. But I still don't think Evans is going to change anything for the time being. I just think he's thinking that the season's over, so we'll change for next season. But there's still time. That's what we need to. We're trying to put that across. That there is still time to change our season. We don't want to just, go along getting no results and change next season. We want change now. There's still time to change our season around, and I hope Evans sees that, but I don't think he does.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see, because I think we can remember a sort of prime example. Aston Villa, they were mid-table Championship a few seasons ago. They brought in Dean Smith in January time. They got into the playoffs, and they're in the Premier League now, the stale Premier League club. But as you said there, you just basically just want a team that's going to fight, and you just want to see football. That's what you want to see. You don't want to see this.
Yeah.
Rubbish. You can accept sometimes games will finish 0-0, but you want to see your team just fight. You just want a team that's going to fight. I don't care if they're in League Two or not. I just want to see a team that fights. That's what is as fans.
Yeah, that's all we want.
It's just somebody that cares, but we'll have to wait and see if that happens. But Ipswich Town are back in action at home this Saturday, looking for a better performance than Northampton Town. And they play Oxford United, who currently sit 7th in League One. They're only 1 point off the playoffs. 4 wins out their last 5 games. But the last time Ipswich played Oxford, right, back in December, yeah? Oxford were 20th. Now they're 7th. That is kind of crazy. I think they've had 21 points from their last 10 games, putting them top of the table in sort of the last 10 games. But Dan, what can we expect from this game? I don't really want to know what we could expect, but I think I'm going to have to ask you.
Yeah, I know. The club's at an all-time low now, and we're going to this game. Surely no one thinks we're going to get anything from it, and I don't, because Oxford are on such a good run at the moment. They're top of the form charts. We're just going to get nothing. We're so predictable that I just think we're going to lose again. But then I don't think there's going to be change after that. So yeah, to me it doesn't matter what team we put out. The Lonies had a good game against Burton, but then they put in that performance against Northampton. So they've been sucked into the Lambert playing style, haven't they? So it doesn't really matter what team we put out. To me, I don't think we're going to get anything from it. I think it'll be 2-0 to Oxford, and then we'll be even lower than we are today.
Yeah, could be 14th by Saturday, and then by Tuesday, it could be even worse with Hull City on the cards. But let us know what your score predictions are on Twitter at Pitchside Talk. Let us know, are Ipswich even going to get anything from out of this game? We don't know. Highly unlikely. But when we come back, we're going to talk a bit more positive. We're going to change the beat of the show. We're going to talk about the Premier League. We've had, some embarrassing moments. Key points dropped by some big clubs, and the race for Europe take another turn. So stay tuned.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and Dan. As always, now before we move on with the show and talk about the Premier League and be a little bit more positive than what we were last time when we were talking about Ipswich Town, I've mentioned the social medias, Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk _Pitch, YouTube, Miscal, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows, they'll be all on there. If you want to listen back to this show and you want to hear Dan talk about Ipswich Town, a very interesting debate and a very, not heated, but a little bit angry debate. That'll be up Fridays at 6 p.m. So straight after the show. And also we do match previews as well, which go up onto YouTube, early access before they go up onto Twitter. So stay tuned on that and make sure you subscribe to watch those. But Dan, this week in the Premier League has been an eventful week. Some embarrassing moments, key points dropped by some big clubs, and the race for Europe take another turn. And here are the results from that week in the Premier League. So Leicester won 3-1 over Liverpool. Palace lost 3-0 to Burnley. Manchester City won 3-0 over Tottenham. A 0-0 draw between Brighton and Aston Villa. A 2-1 loss for Southampton against Wolves. A 1-1 draw between West Brom and Manchester United. Arsenal won 4-2 over Leeds. And Fulham got their first victory since November, a 2-0 victory over Everton. West Ham won a 3-0 against Sheffield United. Chelsea won 2-0 against Newcastle. And then Burnley drawed 1-1 with Fulham. And Everton lost 3-1 to Manchester City. Those last 2 games there are the catch-up games, which were postponed due to COVID-19 back in December. But Dan, Manchester City, their pursuit for their 3rd league title under Pep in 4 seasons is getting closer now. 2 wins in 4 days. Firstly, a 3-0 victory over Spurs, and then a 3-1 victory over Everton, taking them 10 points clear over Manchester United. Breaking records in the process. I think that's now 10 consecutive league wins to the start of a year. No other side has ever done that in English football history. This looks like it's just now Man City's to lose, really, isn't it? The Premier League title.
Yeah, it does definitely. It's going to be a massive task to catch them now, isn't it? It's 10 points.
Cool.
They're on an absolute fire at the moment. They're they're a shadow of what they were at the start of the season because, as we said before, it didn't look like they were going to do anything. But they've turned their season around, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop here, does it? It looks like the run's going to keep going, and it's definitely theirs to lose now. And I'll be very surprised if they don't win the league now because they're too far ahead for anyone to catch them, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, 17 straight victories in all competition. Angelotti described them as impossible to stop. I know we're sort of talking a little bit too far here, but could the quadruple be on here? Because they're in the League Cup final against Tottenham, and Tottenham have been in great form as well, but that doesn't happen until April. They're in the Champions League still, and they've got Borussia Mönchengladbach next. They're in the FA Cup still. This could be a record-breaking season for Manchester City from a start that didn't look like anything was going to happen this season.
No, it didn't. It could be. That you'd expect them to win the League Cup. That's maybe not one of the most important trophies, but it counts towards it. Could they get the quadruple with the run they on? Maybe, but it's going to be tough to do that. Obviously, their record in the Champions League is not too great, is it? That's one of the things that Pep is kind of. He's a great manager, but that's one of the things that you put against him. So maybe it'll be tough to win the Champions League with some of the teams in that. But I don't think you can rule that out. Even though it is a tough ask. Looks like they're going to win the Premier League. Could they win the FA Cup as well? Yeah. So why not? That's probably what they could aim for. But do it one step at a time. Don't think about that until it's properly possible that they could do it, I think.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see. And now the other biggest winners this week is Fulham. Yes, I've put Fulham in here. They've got their first league victory of the year versus Everton, a 2-0 victory thanks to Josh Amanda's brace. Also, the first victory since Leicester back in November. Then they also got a draw against Burnley, one of the games in hand that they have got, which only put them 6 points now off safety, which is Newcastle. But Dan, with a run of Sheffield United, Crystal Palace and Liverpool coming up for them, they could put some serious pressure here on Newcastle because Newcastle got Manchester United, Wolves and West Brom, and they didn't look too great against Chelsea. Like, the pressure could be seriously on here. If Fulham get 6 points from here, or even 5 or 4, they could be putting off the greatest escape here.
They could be, yeah. I was quite surprised with how close they are now. Only 6 points. That's 2 wins. So, with the form that the teams above them are on, I think Newcastle have won 5. So they're on an off form. So if Fulham can come into these games, Sheffield United, that's a winnable game. They look like they're gonna go down. Crystal Palace, they're not on great form at the moment, are they? And then Liverpool, who, well, we know what's going on with them at the moment. So yeah, it's more than possible, isn't it? When you look at the table, which is really surprising. They've only won 3. They've got so many draws this season. But if they can bring that confidence into their next games, it was a good win against Everton. If they could bring that into their next run of games, then who knows? I'm not going to predict they'll stay up just yet because it'll be an amazing achievement if they do stay up from here. But I'm not saying it's not possible.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see. Looks like they could pull it off, but we'll have to wait and see in the next coming weeks. But the biggest losers this week now, Liverpool. The champions collapsed and paid the price of more defensive mistakes, leaving Klopp to concede the title into. But they've got 9 points from the last 10 games. Even I didn't notice. And I'm apparently supposed to be a Liverpool fan here. I didn't know this. But the side continues. Klopp, his side looks so unrecognisable from last season. They had a good first 60 minutes, but it just all fell apart. And now they're in 6th place in the league behind West Ham and Chelsea, who have overtaken them, knocking them out of the top 4. Like, they need to start getting points back. And I think because top 4 is not a given, and there's no looking at these two sides, Moan, they don't look like they're going to step up at all.
No, they don't. It's a big worry for Liverpool. And Klopp looks like a broken man, doesn't he? In his interviews, he conceded that the title's gone now. It's a sad thing to see a manager, reacting like that in an interview. I still think Liverpool should stick with him. I've been seeing,
Oh yeah.
just been seeing people saying Klopp out, but I just think that's ridiculous. You still need to give him time. Absolutely. We've seen what he could do with that side. I think injuries have really affected it. The amount of defensive mistakes that are happening at the moment is, it's mental. I watched the Leicester Liverpool game, and that's that's 3 goalkeeping mistakes from Alisson that have cost goals in the last 2 league games now. So it's, the defensive mistakes are ridiculous. I think Van Dijk makes that team for me. Is ever since he's gone, he's been such a huge miss, and the amount of mistakes that happen and the amount of goals, it really puts into perspective how much he's missed. But yeah, points are needed massively. Top 4 is not out of the question yet, but as you said, teams above them are looking good. West Ham are on a roll; they're looking great. Chelsea, they've won their last 4 games. Leicester don't look like they're going to slip up, and Man United, they're 6 points ahead. So, it's not looking great for them, but they shouldn't give up. They should keep going at it, and top 4 isn't too far away, and they can still get it, in my opinion, with Klopp as manager.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see. It looks like the race to the top 4 is going to be interesting week by week. And also the other biggest loser this week was Southampton. They suffered their 6th straight defeat in a row. Yes, 6 straight defeats in a row. What's going on? At one point, they were top of the league. It's absolutely mad. But after 2-1 loss to Wolves, despite going 1-0 up in the first half, they were undone by a penalty, which they have questioned. A handball on Ryan Bertram, which I think we can say it was a penalty, but it's a very much of a 50-50 penalty. Some refs will give it, some refs won't. But if VAR's about, it's going to give everything. And also a Neto tight angle goal. But for Southampton, it's just another bitter pill to swallow for them, because they're slowly slipping down the table here. And it's just, I think for me, it's sad to see, because I really like Southampton.
Well, yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Not in that way. I don't want any more of those players. Stop it.
I'm joking. Yeah, they're slipping down, aren't they? It's a bad situation for them. I don't know what's happened to them. As you said earlier on in the season, they were top of the league. They were looking really good. Danny Ings was on great form, and then they came into that run of games. I think they played. I think they beat Liverpool, didn't they? And then that started their run of games. Lost against it was Arsenal, I think, Villa in that time, and then obviously the 9-0 against Man United. So I think it seems like the 9-0 this season has done the complete opposite, hasn't it? Because last year the 9-0 kind of revamped their season a little bit, because at the time they looked like they were destined for relegation. The manager was going to go, but that changed their season around. But the 9-0 this year, I think, just kind of suggests that there's massive problems at Southampton, and that the confidence is so low. They've had a lot of injury problems recently. That might be affecting the way that they're playing, but yeah, it's really not looking good for them. And if you look at the league table, I don't know how far they are off the bottom 3, with Fulham, looking like they could go on a good run. Right down there. But I think they're safe. It's 10 points. Yeah. So, I think they're safe enough, but it's still looking poor for them, innit?
Yeah, still looking poor, but hopefully things will turn around for them soon, because I think we all like Ralph Hasenhuttl, and we all like Southampton, and we want to see them do well. But apart from if you're a rival, I don't really know what rivals they have. Portsmouth, there you go, that's one of them.
Portsmouth, yeah.
Brighton one of them? No, Brighton isn't one of them.
No.
That's Crystal Palace. Sorry. I'm thinking that derby. That's not a derby, but it is a derby, and fans don't like it as
Oh,
a derby,
don't.
but it's derby.
Yeah, don't get started. We'll have Twitter arguments again.
It wasn't a Twitter argument. I was right all along. But I was right all along. You know I was. But yeah, that's everything for the Premier League this week. And we've got a game happening in a few hours. So head over to our YouTube. You can see the preview for Wolves v Leeds. Or head over to our Twitter as well. You can see that as well at Pitchside Talk for the game 2 happening tonight. Now, when we come back, we're going to do a nice little quick roundup about the Champions League knockout stages. I think that sounds quite good, doesn't it?
The best place in Ipswich to hear the latest football debates, Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan. As always, and now before we move on with the show, I've mentioned the social medias, Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube and Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of the previous shows or even this one, you want to hear Dan's fascinating rant about Ipswich Town, which he does, I think, on a weekly basis now, or a daily basis, actually. Yes, head over there. You can see the latest show, which comes out at 6 p.m. on Friday, just after this is finished. Now, the Champions League, I think we can say one of the best cup competitions in the world, is back. And after 2 months away, we had the knockout stages of the competition, which started on Tuesday, where 8 teams this week battle out for a place in the quarterfinals. And we've got the first leg this week, and then next week is the first leg of the other games, and then we have a little break, and then we've got the other legs coming for the other games. But starting off with the English team that is left in the competition this week was Liverpool. They took their first step to the road of recovery, getting a 2-0 aggregate lead over Red Bull Leipzig in the away leg. Klopp described that as sort of it defined people's expectations after a tough time of results for the club. I think getting the result was a major confidence boost for the club. I've got my words out just finally there. The other game that happened on Tuesday, the Mbappe show stole this game, helping PSG get a 4-1 aggregate lead over Barcelona. Not a perfect start, going 1-0 down in the 27 minutes. But for PSG, a superb victory over Barcelona. I think it'd be kind of interesting for Barcelona because they have overturned an aggregate lead like this before versus PSG, but it looks like this time could be a little bit different for the Spanish Giants. And now we're going to do a little quick roundup of the other games that happened on Wednesday as well. So Porto versus Juventus. So Porto head to Turin with a 2-1 lead over the Italian Giants Juventus, thanks to 2 first-minute goals of each half. Yeah, a little bit weird there. But crucially, Juventus did get us an away goal, so this tie isn't over and done with just yet. And then Seville played a Borussia Dortmund. Haaland show rolled into Spain as he got 2 goals, helping Borussia Dortmund take a 3-2 aggregate lead back home over Seville. But after the match, Eric Haaland wanted to thank Mbappe for his hat-trick that he got against Barcelona, as it gave him extra motivation to go and score. That's now 18 Champions League goals in 13 appearances. That's the first time a player's ever done that. And I think if I'm correct, Dan, right, Mbappe and Haaland's combined goals is 28 in the Champions League. Ronaldo and Messi's is 15. It looks like the new era has definitely rolled in here.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, what a record that is. Imagine them two playing together. That'd just be amazing to watch, wouldn't it? We need them in the Premier League, both of them.
That would be terrifying. I think as a fan it'd be beautiful, but as a defender, I think I would be terrified. I might as well just walk off the pitch now and go home. That's how terrifying it would be. That is everything for the Champions League this week. We'll be talking about the Champions League next week. We've got some more games coming. We've got Atletico Madrid versus Chelsea, Lazio versus Bayern Munich happening on Tuesday, and then Wednesday we've got Atalanta versus Real Madrid and Borussia Gladbach playing Manchester City. I did say that right. Yes, I did nearly stumble that name. That name I always get that name absolutely wrong. Why couldn't they have an easier name to pronounce? I will never know. But when we come back, we might have a little bit of time for a football roundup.
Pitchside Talk, footy debate from the Premier League Outback.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio. Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and Dan as always. Now, Dan, we're near the end of the show. We've got a little bit of extra time. So we're going to do a little bit of a football roundup, as we like to do. Hooray. And I hear you want to go first this week.
Yeah, I'll go first. So yesterday it was, it would have been the late Sir Bobby Robson's birthday. So yeah, absolute legend of the club. Ipswich. He's such a figure in English football, isn't he? Got England to the semi-finals of the World Cup. I was sad when he passed, and I hate to think what he'd think of Ipswich right now. It's sad to think about that, but yeah, would have been his birthday yesterday.
Yeah, very sad. I think if he's still around, I think he would still be trying to manage Ipswich Town. Wouldn't surprise me, would it?
That'd be good. That'd be great.
That'd be absolutely fantastic. Well, I got a bit of football roundup news for you, and it's actually concerned a manager. And now Bournemouth are looking for a brand new manager, despite having John Woodgate as their caretaker manager for the time being. They've actually put on their shortlist Thierry Henry. Yes, Thierry Henry could be heading to Bournemouth as the new manager. He's currently at the moment managing in the MLS for FC Toronto. I can't speak. I can't say that at all. But I'm going to rock and roll with it. But apparently they will require permission if they want to speak with him. So might not be easy to bring him over, but that'd be very interesting. Thierry Henry, a little old Bournemouth. Having Thierry Henry. Madness. Absolute madness. Well, Dan, we're at the end of the show, unfortunately. We've got there. It was a little bit painful in the beginning, but we got there in the end.
We are. Yeah.
Yeah, well, what have we got?
Quite painful at the start.
Yeah, bit painful. What have we got coming after us? We've got the Gap Show 6 until 7, the Reba Show 7 till 9, and Flip the Switch 9 until 10. Before we go, I've been mentioning the social medias: Twitter at Pitch I Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube Mixcloud, both at Pitch I Talk. If you want to listen back to any of the previous shows, or even this one if you missed anything, don't worry. 6 p.m. at Fridays, they will be up. So, Dan, I want to thank you very much for being on the show today. I guess I'll see you next week as always.
Yep, I'll see you next week. Hopefully, a more positive Ipswich result. I doubt it, though.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see on that one. So, I've been George. He's been Dan. We'll see you next week, and ciao.
See ya.
The whistle has been blown for full time. Tune in next week for another jam-packed show.